Hello, dear students. I, Dr. Preeti Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, ITM Group of Institutions, welcome you all in the class of Consumer Behavior, your specialization in marketing. Today, we are going to discuss consumer research. This is your third lecture. Let's see what we have in today's session. So, these are the outlines. So first is SELO, that is Student Effective Learning Outcomes. After that, I'll introduce you about consumer research. Then we will discuss positivist research. Then experimentalist or postmodernist research. And then I'll explain you quantitative and qualitative research. Uh, then comparison between positivism and postmodernist research, then postmodernist research techniques, then consumer research process, and one exercise is there for you so that you can solve that exercise and come prepared in the class, and research scope and some reading material. So let's start. So after this session, we'll be able to explain quantitative and qualitative research. So you able to understand the difference between qualitative and quantitative research, and you will be able to understand the consumer research process and realize the role of ethics in consumer behavior. So what is consumer research? Consumer research has emerged as an extension and integral part of marketing research because marketing is all about consumers. So we called it as marketing research also. It is a set of methods used to identify the need and then develop product and service to satisfy those needs. So first of all, through research, we find out the need of customer. Then in that direction, we try to develop or design that kind of product or service that can satisfy those needs. The focus of consumer research is exclusively on exploring consumer behavior. So consumer research is all about consumer buying behavior, how they buy or how they take decision for buying. So it explore that area. Consumer research, as I told you, sometimes known as marketing research, and it investigates into driving force behind the consumer behavior, consumer psychology, and their purchase patterns. So, positivist research. This is a terminology. I will let you know where with which terminology it is matching. So positivist research method consists of experiments, survey techniques, and observation. You all have studied research methodology in the previous semester, that is your second semester, and you try to match these characteristics with a type of research which I have taught you in the second semester. The findings of positivist research are descriptive, empirical, and can be generalized to larger populations. The nature of collected data is quantitative, for which sophisticated statistical analysis can be used. What does it mean? Like, we are talking about positivist research, which is a terminology in the consumer research. It is quite similar with the quantitative research. Okay. So in this, we do experiments, survey, and observation. It is descriptive and empirical in nature, and it could be implemented on larger population. Next is experientialist or postmodernist research. A postmodernist approach to the study of consumer behavior that focus on act of consuming rather than the act of buying, how they are consuming the product, because consuming is more important, because whatever you buy, it is not necessary that you are going to consume it, because we have to understand the consumer, the pattern of consuming. Researchers who endorse the assumptions of experimentalism are called experientialist or postmodernist. Postmodernists believe that all reality is constructed by individual or group and is determined by individual or group as much or more than it is by an external objective reality, and hence there are multiple realities. So as per this concept of research, that means you can't fix the nature of consumer. They behave differently in every kind of situation. They behave differently. Same person can behave differently every time. They don't have a consistent behavior. Qualitative and quantitative research. So what is quantitative research? It is descriptive in nature, enables market to predict consumer behavior. Research methods, it includes experiments, survey techniques, and observation. Findings are descriptive, empirical, and generalizable. As I told you in which one previously, in this positivist research. So we can say that quantitative research same as positivist research, and the qualitative research is same as postmodernist research, because the characteristics are same. So it consists, qualitative consists the depth interview, focus group, metaphors analysis, college research, and projective techniques, administered by high trained interviewer analyst. Findings tend to be subjective and small sample sizes. It is collage research. Comparison, positivism and postmodernist. Purpose of these two is positivism is all about prediction of consumer actions, and postmodernist is understanding consumption practice of the consumer. Then methodology for positivism is quantitative, and for postmodernist it is qualitative. Okay, so one is quantitative and another one is qualitative. Now, the techniques of postmodernist research. Ethnography. In ethnography, researchers get located in society under study in an attempt to grasp the meaning of various cultural practice. In ethnography, researchers try to understand the different cultural practice of the consumer, and based on those practice, their consumption will depend on that. Semiotics is the study of symbols and the meaning they convey, and the researcher use it to discover the meaning of various consumption behavior and rituals. So based on that also, uh, researcher take the benefit of the behavior and rituals of consumer. Depth interview are an important part of the postmodernist research process. So these are the techniques used in postmodernist research techniques, which is qualitative in nature. Then let's come to the research process, consumer research process. The first one is to identify the problem or objectives. So consumer research objective. Based on that objective, you try to collect secondary data or secondary information. And if you find out the sufficient insight, you prepare a report. If not, then you design a primary research. Mhm. Okay. Then in primary research, you have two options: qualitative research and quantitative research. For qualitative research, you adopt a particular method, then you prepare a questionnaire, then you discuss, like you take interview and everything, and you collect information, you analyze data, and you prepare report. In quantitative research, you adopt a method. Suppose you have taken survey method, and you, based on this qualitative research, you get some input for your research, which help you in identification of sample design. So what should be your sample? What should be the size? Who will be the population? Who is going to respond you? And then you prepare a questionnaire. Here we call this questionnaire as schedule, and in quantitative research this is called questionnaire, which is distributed to your respondents or your targeted population, and you select like a number of people who is going to respond you, that is called your sample size. So you distribute your questionnaire to your sample, selected sample, and you collect information from them. That information is primary data, which is filled by your sample. Then you use different analysis techniques in which you can use descriptive analysis. You also can implement t-test, ANOVA test. Through this, you can find out the differentiation. If you want to check the correlation, you can implement the correlation test. You can also check the impact of two variables, for which you can use regression analysis. And likewise, many more analytical tools are there, statistical tools are there for the analysis of data, and you will get a result which you can generalize on a larger population, and accordingly you take decision uh, for your company based on what report is being prepared. So this is very much helpful, this consumer research, in decision making or the strategy or policy making for the company, and for the benefit of company and for the benefit of consumer. Then this is your exercise. On a rank order scale, ask your friend to evaluate 5 different brands in banking sector. This rank order scale, you know, because we have already discussed this in RM subject. So you are familiar with this term, you have to just recall it. So you have to evaluate 5 different brands in banking sector and subsequently use a differential scale for comparing their perception for these competing brands. Now, suppose you are marketer of one of these brands. So you have to be, suppose like you are a mm, manager, marketing manager, or sales manager of that brand, and how can you use the conclusion of the evaluation? So this is your task. Come prepared with this activity, and whatever doubts you have, you can ask in the class. uh, Listen this video carefully and come prepared. And research scope, again, it has a greater scope because in consumer behavior we need research. Without research you can't understand your consumer because they are very dynamic in nature. These are all reading material, so this will help you to enhance your knowledge, and you can get in-depth knowledge through these books. Thank you so much. Soon see you in the class.